And the end of this episode, it's got a long, my conclusions are usually a couple paragraphs, maybe 30, 40 seconds max. This one's like 4 minutes or so. And it really talks about the change in British, American, and Soviet priorities once December 1941 rolled around and America joined the war. And it was clear that the Soviet Union was not going to suddenly collapse against the Germans. And how all these noble aspirations that seemed so good sounding and look good on paper in the fall of 1941 suddenly don't work in practice when you're trying to work with someone who's your diametric opposite politically in order to defeat your enemy. And this is the tie that sort of sums all that up. How, you may ask? I'll tell you in just a second. It's also it's fairly stiff, so you're gonna have to give it a short back too, because it's not like the lighter silk ties that I sometimes wear that really slide around. Well, look at this. Okay, this is something that you could imagine someone in British high command wearing, right? Yeah? You can imagine an American congressman wearing this. Yeah. You can even imagine somebody in the Soviet ministries wearing this, yes? This is an all-purpose tie for the Allies. And this is important because they have to actually get along in order to prosecute and win the war. And especially with Stalin's paranoia, with Churchill being unbending, and with FDR being at times rather naive about America's role in all of this, it's not as easy as one might think. And there's a lot of wheels that need greasing, which is something I talk about. This is the March 27th, 1942 episode, so you can watch that and the conclusion. This is by Casper Würzburg. It's especially made for Casper Würzburg because that man, Casper Würzburg, although it's a German-sounding name, he embodies all of these ideals, all the American, British, and Soviet ideals. He was born in East Prussia the eastern part of East Prussia, just when it had been overrun by Soviet troops during the Great War. Hence is the German name. He was evacuated to the Baltics. He was a Baltic German, but then he fell under the sway of the Soviet Union. But he had some issues with purges and things in the 1940s with his family, and so he ended up in England where he fought in an RAF squadron. He fought with the Poles, of course, because he spoke Polish as well. He spoke Estonian and Polish. He spoke Russian, spoke English, spoke German. And then at the end of the war, he moved to America and was a test pilot because why is this funny? She's watching something on her phone. And Casper Würzburg died in the mid-1950s in his test pilot. And the ghost of his little boy, a ghost that sums up all the aspirations of all of the Allies, all the hopes and dreams of the Soviets, the British, the Americans, the Chinese, and the Free French. Casper, that friendly ghost, the ghost of a little boy. I almost don't have the words. The ghost of a little boy trying to bring us through the Cold War, making us laugh, making us realize that even though you're a ghost and you're supposed to be scary, you don't have to be scary. You can be nice. You can make friends. Look, the British and the French and the Americans, you know how hard it is for them to be friends right now? Even in the fight against, they have this great common enemy, sure, but yet they have to do this. And poor Casper Würzman, who gave his life and then came back as a ghost of a little boy for several animated series over the years to teach us about the value of friendship, had this tie specially made for him. It even says, especially made for Casper Würzburg. And you can have this tie, a tie for a friendly ghost, and a tie to hopefully build a brighter future.